Good morning, world. Welcome to another episode of Xendependently Minded. If you are a new or returning listener, I hope you enjoy this episode. If you're interested in more content like this and combat sports podcasts in the future, stay tuned because it's only going to get bigger and better from here. And if you know anybody you love, family member, best friend, girlfriend, wife, husband, significant other, whatever, share Xendependently Minded with them because it's only the best combat sports podcast out there. So it's been about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks since I did a podcast last, and not much has changed with combat sports. Almost nothing. It's been critters. It's been nothing but chirps from boxing on the boxing end. But on the UFC end, they officially made the UFC 249 card on May 9th. I think it's officially in Florida. I think that's the location. It doesn't seem like there's as much resistance with it right now as it was as the resistance for the first time they were trying to do UFC 249. And basically every rumored fight or possible fight that they are trying to make on that card has been signed. So Justin Gaethje, Tony Ferguson are going at it for the interim belt. Whoever wins that gets to face Khabib in fall when he's done with Ramadan. That's not really news. Dominic Cruz and Henry Cejudo have agreed to fight for the bantamweight title. This fight is something that I'm really excited about. Being a huge Dominic Cruz fan, in my opinion, he's the best bantamweight out there. I think I talked about it in my last podcast, but nevertheless, I'm really excited about that fight. And then we have a bunch of killer fights down the line with Ngannou, Rosenstrike, Stevens, Calvin Kattar, who I think that fight is going to be fight of the night. I've talked about it with a couple of my other friends, other UFC super fans, and they think that's going to be fight of the night. And I do think that there's a possibility that Nico Price and who is he fighting? I forget who Nico Price is fighting. His fight has the chance to go the distance and be fight of the night too. So all in all, it's a very stacked card and I'm really excited about it. But I just wanted to kind of go over it again and just react to it officially being made and talk about a couple other things that it could possibly stipulate as far as the lightweight division goes and the rest of the UFC. So there aren't any big welterweight fights in this card, which is something that was surprising to me because I know Tyron Woodley, Leon Edwards, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, Jorge Masvidal, they're all chirping at each other. They all want to have fights with each other, or they claim. And I'm surprised nothing was made there, but I can see why. Dana White's probably going to wait. He's not going to completely do all of the killer matchups on one card. He's got a quota to meet, and he's got a few. That's an understatement to say a few, but he has a lot of fights, a lot of matches he can make coming up. And it's going to be exciting to see how it unfolds, especially for the welterweight division. But the main thing that I kind of realized, and I know a couple people have touched on, especially Chael Sonnen on the You're Welcome podcast, is the fact that Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz have a perfect opportunity to finish their trilogy fight. I don't think Nate would move back down to lightweight. I know Conor was saying he felt great. He looked great. He looked powerful and fast or whatever up at welterweight. So there's a possibility they could finish that trilogy there. I wouldn't see Conor wanting to do it down at lightweight. He lost in welterweight once, beat him welterweight. Then he beat the Cowboy at welterweight. So he's 2-1 there. And I think they should resume. They should complete that trilogy, and I think Nate Diaz should ride off into the sunset and retire because he's been fighting for a long time, and him and his brother's fighting style causes them to take a lot of damage, a lot of shots, a lot of brain damage, and you can only be tough and have a tough chin for so long, and then it eventually deteriorates. Then it's just not good for you. I know a lot of boxers face that problem where they notorious for having tough chins, and then as they get older, their chin starts to deteriorate, and then it just isn't good, and it's all bad from there. So I would love to see Conor and Nate have this trilogy match. I do know Conor has his eye on the lightweight division, and that's where I'm kind of at a crossroads because I don't want him to go further into the welterweight division. I think he's too small. If he was to fight Kamaru Usman, I don't think it would be fair. Kamaru Usman is just too powerful. He's too strong. His wrestling is just... It's like Khabib's, but on another level, more about power and strength and just overpowering you than finesse like it is with Khabib. Khabib's a little bit of both. That's why he's so dangerous. That's another topic for another day. But I want to see Conor get back into the lightweight division, because I do think he can beat anybody in the lightweight division on any given day, including Khabib. And I know that's a stretch because Khabib dominated him in his last fight. He only lost one round according to some judges, and that's debated hotly amongst the MMA community. But I would love to see Conor and Nate go at it again. I'm not a big Nate Diaz fan. You guys know I'm a huge Conor fan, and everyone loved both their fights. Their second one was one of the greatest fights of all time, and I'd love to see them go at it again and put the final chapter, put the epilogue on that book. Another thing that I was thinking about with the lightweight division is how there are two other key players in the lightweight division that are being left out. So obviously Khabib is sidelined. He's not going to be able to fight until fall, so that's out of the way. And then Tony and Justin are fighting, but that leaves out Conor, of course, and Dustin Poirier, who a lot of people are saying, including me, should duke it out again and fight again. And what I think should happen is Dustin needs to fight someone. I think he needs to fight Dan Hooker next. I know they've pretty much verbally agreed to that, and lately verbal agreements haven't really weighed so much. They're not as valuable. They don't mean as much, but those are two guys that are left out in the lightweight division, and I think there are some fights to be made. There's a lot of opportunities for them to not waste the UFC. A lot of opportunities for them to not waste with the lightweight division. And then also the welterweight division. They have a lot of potential blockbusters, a lot of sold-out arenas with both divisions. And then that's not even taking into account Israel Adesanya's situation, and then John Jones' situation with the light heavyweight division, and Stipe still healing, and then we got a new flyweight champion. There's a lot to be done in the UFC, and it's going to be exciting because Dana doesn't often disappoint. So that's just something I just kind of wanted to re-talk about, and bring up more of my thoughts and reactions to UFC 249 being officially made. And then another thing I kind of wanted to brush over was the fact that amongst this hysteria and the virus and all that, a lot of people have not realized that Triple G and Canelo have agreed to seal the trilogy and have the third fight in the fall. Not sure if the plans are going to follow through, but that's a big deal because a lot of people have wanted to see that trilogy. Just my thoughts on that, though. I love both guys. They're both great boxers. Triple G is someone that I've followed for a long time and someone that I've liked for a long time. And Canelo, I think, is the cream of the crop. He's the pound-for-pound best boxer in the world. Everything he does at the highest degree. I do think he lost the first fight to Triple G. I think Triple G, in the last 6 rounds, made it more convincing. But the draw I was okay with. And then the second fight, definitely Canelo beat Triple G. And that being said, Triple G is one of my favorite boxers. He's a killer for a very, very long time. And I just think his time has passed. When he fought Derevchenko, however you say his last name, the last person he fought, he won, obviously, and it was convincing enough, of course, for the judges and for the fans to accept as a victory. But he just looked out of his element. It might have been rust. I'm not sure. He did fight Steve Earls before, but I just think he's getting older. He's not in his prime anymore, and I just don't think it's not going to be a competitive fight. It's not going to be as close as the first 2 times they fought, and I'm not really looking forward. I'm going to watch it. I'm very excited. Very excited to see Canelo and Triple G fight, no matter what, but I think that Triple G is past his prime, and it's only going to go downhill from here. He could prove me wrong. He could come out and shock the world and beat Canelo, but I just don't think that's going to happen, and I'm not too keen on that idea, but I'm happy to see that both those guys are fighting again, no matter who they fight, and the fact that they're fighting each other makes it all the more better. So hopefully we can get that fight, and it can materialize by the end of the year. And then also Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are going to have their third match. It was supposed to be in July, I believe, but now it's going to be at the end of the year. Hopefully, assuming everything calms down by then, we'll see. But everyone stay safe, stay tuned, and thank you for listening.